Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing well and welcome to my channel. And today we are going to discuss some of the previous year question PYQs, but we will focus more on the uh, para summary questions. And here we have taken all these three slots, like slot one, slot two, slot three, and completely we have taken the para summary questions. So as far as we know that in the last year, in 2000, CAT 2024, we have three of the parasummary questions in each of the slots. So slot one, we have three parasummary question, and in um, slot two, we have also three parasummary questions, as well as in slot three, we have three parasummary questions. And we will discuss each of the parasummary questions and we'll try to know that means what these parasummary questions and how we able to solve these questions in a very easy and quick manner, and what are the things that we uh, need to focus when we do the parasummary questions. What could be our strategy, what could be the tricks, or what could be the main thing that we need to look at the parasummary question, and how in a very short span of time we able to tackle these parasummary questions, isn't it? So without wasting time, let's go for this parasummary question. I have taken means CAT 2024 slot 3, means one of the parasummary questions. So the instruction of this question is, there is a passage which is given below and is followed by four alternate summaries. What we need to do, we need to choose the option that best captures the essence of the passage. Well, what I am going to do, I'll go each of the parry summary and I'll try to explain all these passages first, and then after we will go to the details of each choice and we'll try to eliminate each of the choice given here. And on the basis of the elimination, we will find out which one would be the means main um, means main and concise text of the original text. Let me tell you, means after completion of all these summary-based question, I'm going to discuss that how I deal with these questions and what are the tricks or what are the strategy I follow. So don't forget to see means all these parasummary question. But previous to that, I would also suggest to you go with the parasummary questions. These parasummary questions, you can pause this video, you can look at the questions which have been given here, and you try to solve it within the time duration of 2 minutes. You can take it to 2 minutes, or you can, it would be better if you can solve less than 2 minutes. Um, because these kind of questions can be called as a moderate questions, and they won't take max to max 1 minute 30 second or more than that. But I am giving you 2 minutes. If you are practicing this, um, try to focus on accuracy than rather than focusing on the time, right? Mm. And another thing is there that's called as a, you need to look at this in the exam point of view, right? Because in CAT exams, our focus would be accuracy, right? Not the number of the questions and not the time, right? Um, but that doesn't mean that you will attain um, fewer number of questions. Our expectation is called as we supposed to look at that at least of 14 to 15 questions, and those 14 to 15 questions must be corrected with 100% accuracy, right? At the same time, in 40-minute time, we will see that what 14 to 15 questions will be feasible and doable, right? So another thing is uh, that I would also like to suggest that it all depends upon the kind of level of the questions. if the questions are difficult, it's also difficult to everyone. So in that case, number of the question could be fewer than 15, right? So it could be 10, it could be 12, right? So the thing is that I'm telling 15 number of questions, looking at the kind of the questions I could see in front of me, right? Like the kind of passages, the kind of a jumbled sentence question, the kind of a Paris summary questions, and the kind of a sentence placement. So I would suggest that what if you find out each question, so don't hesitate to attend 15 to 16 questions. But if it is a difficult to everyone, so obviously the number of the questions would be uh, fewer than 15, right? So fine, let's go to the first um, first passage, first passage of the parasummary question. Um, I would again urge you that please pause the video and try to read the mm, text as well as choices given here and try to find out your own choice or answer. If you find out that means your answer is wrong, then you can go for this explanation, right? So let's begin. You can take your time, you can pause it, and you can start doing it. Okay, so what does this passage or parasummary question ask us? We have one of the text which is somehow called as a 60 to 80 words, right? And the length of the text is 60 to 80 words. In that case, means it's a parasummary question. So in the parasummary question, what we supposed to see that when we write the summary based question, we generally focus that what our summary must be one third of the original text, right? Second is called as when we go for the summary, we look at that the main idea, or you can say that key idea of the text. We also look at that means no examples, no idioms, no phrases should be given or called any of the anecdotes or maybe any of the allegory which has been used in the summary for the comparison. So that could not be also come under the summary based question. So hence means the focus is called the main ideas and subordinate ideas. No examples, no anecdotes, right? Third thing is called as it should be in a very simple manner when we go for the writing. So, and fourth is called as it should not contain any kind of a grammatical or punctuation error, isn't it? So, fine, let's focus into it. Um, but remember that um, for the choice-based question, we have also some different kind of tricks, also strategy, including the um, including the kind of a process which I told you, right? So here the text stated that lyric poetry is a genre of private meditation rather than public commitment. So lyric poetry is a genre of private meditation rather than public commitment. Now, the first thing is called as what this lyric poetry is all about. I can say that what lyric poetry is nothing but a type of poetry that expresses you can say that personal feelings or thoughts, isn't it? It is a genre. Genre is generally known as a category or type of art or writing or music. You can say that. So lyric poetry is nothing but a genre. Genre is called as a category of a private meditation. So private meditation means thing that called as reflecting or called as focusing on personal, you can say that personal thoughts, right? Rather than it's a public commitment. So lyric poetry is a means of personal feelings. It's not that the public commitment. So when you say that word public commitment, you can say that working, or you can say that expressing something openly for society or a cause, right or not? So in that case, I can say that lyric poetry is mostly about personal thoughts and feelings, not about taking actions or making a statement for society. Then third is called as the impulse. So when you say that the impulse, it means called as the desire, right? The desire in Marxism, right? Marxism toward changing a society deemed unacceptable in its basic design that would seem to place demand on lyric poetry. That such poetry, with its tendency toward the personal, um, the small scale and the idiosyncratic. Now, when you talk about um, idiosyncratic, we can say that what um, peculiar, or you can say that unique, unique to one person, strange habit or ideas, right? All such kind of a things that could never answer, right? So in that case, I can say that what Marxism is. Marxism is a theory or it is a belief, right? So Marxism wants what? Wants to change society because it sees problems, it sees problems in how it is built, how the society is built, right? But lyric poetry focuses on personal, small, and unusual feelings. So it can't meet these big social demands. So as we know that lyric poetry is nothing but called as a personal feelings. And whereas Marxism wants to change society because it sees problems in how it is built. So in that case, Marxism is nothing but called as a huge challenge, right? Or you can say it is a theory which is focusing more on the means class struggles, right? Then after it is stated, there is within Marxism, however, also a strand of thought. When you say that strand of thought, it means called as a particular idea or approach. Strand of thought means a particular idea or thought means, or you can say that approach within a larger belief system. So it says that, however, also a strand of thought means indicate in lyric poetry alternative modes of perception and the description that call forth what uh, call forth a vision of uh, worlds at odds with the repressive reality, or that draw attention to the working of ideology within the hegemonic culture, right? So, in that case, if I talk about hegemonic culture, it means the dominant or controlling culture in society. So, this particular part, which is stating about what uh, it tells that what, however, some Marxist, right? It is stated, however, also strand of thought indicate in lyric poetry alternative modes of perception and description that call for the means you can say that it call for the means odds with the repressive reality or that draw attention to the working of ideology with hegemonic culture. It means it tries to say that, however, some Marxist ideas believe that lyric poetry can offer different ways of seeing um, and describing the world. It can, you can say that it can show new visions that go against an oppressive reality, repressive or oppressive reality, or you can say that what oppressive reality means called as a, the oppressive means a tortured or abusive reality, or you can say that draw attention to the workings of ideology or help people to notice how society is dominant belief control system, isn't it? Then the last one is called as the poetic imagination may indeed deflect a larger social concern, but it may also be critical and utopian. So when you say that utopian means called as a perfect, right? So in that case, it is stated about the poetic imagination may indeed reflect larger social concerns. So poetic imagination is indicating the creative and the thoughtful way poets think and express ideas, and they turn attention away from what big issues that affect many people in society, right? So uh, that is what poetic imagination. So you can say that poetry might avoid or distract from big social issues, but at the same time, but but it may be critical and utopian. So when we say that, but it may or it can also quietly um, criticize them and imagine a better and ideal world. So all total, you can talk about that this text is trying to tell us what lyric poetry, what is that, and Marxism, what is that? Lyric poetry is more about personal thought, personal, personal thought, personal thought, and you can say that it focuses more on the personal thoughts than social action, whereas Marxism wants a society to change because society is unfair, right? So, but or you can talk about class struggle, but lyric poetry might not be able to support that because it focuses on small personal things, isn't it? So it indicates that Marxism desires that lyric poetry contributes something for the society. But some Marxist ideas believe that what poetry can offer new perspectives that challenge unfair realities and dominant beliefs. So poetry might, you can say that, avoid big problems, or but in that case, also quietly criticize them and dream of a better world, isn't it? So that's what is the whole passage try to tell us. Now let's look at the each of the choice and try to see that which choice will be the most appropriate. Let's look at the first choice. The first choice stated that Marxism has internal contradiction. Look into this. What does it say? Marxism has internal contradiction. So when you say that internal contradiction, it means you're talking about conflict ideas within the same theory or belief system that Marxism have, right? So it is also said due to which one strand of Marxism sees what no merit in lyric poetry, while others, right? So while another appreciate the alternative mode of perception in poetry. Now this choice is trying to tell us that what Marxism has conflicted ideas. Some parts of Marxist thinking believe poetry is useless. That's what it is stated. Um, while others think poetry can offer new ways of seeing the world, right? But if you observe that the passage doesn't talk about that Marxism has internal contradiction, right? So uh, that's what is eliminating the option A. So in that case, option A cannot be the answer. Second one, we talk about that. That's called the focus of lyric poetry. The focus of lyric poetry is largely personal, while that of Marxism is bringing change in society, right? So it is also said that unless the difference is a result, poetry will remain largely utopian. Now, if you observe carefully, option B stated that stated what? It tries to tell us that the focus of lyric poetry is largely personal, and Marxism is bringing what? Change in society, right? So, means it tries to tell about both of the things, but later it is also stated unless the difference is the result. Now, this clearly indicating that what means lyric poetry focuses on personal feelings while Marxism focuses on changing society. If these differences are not dealt with, poetry will remain utopian or called as unrealistic or idealistic. So, in that case, we can observe one of the things. It tries to make the difference between lyric poetry and Marxism, which is not the means main thought of the, or it is not given in the passages, right? So it cannot be called as a main idea. Hence, option B is also eliminated. Now, come to the third option. Third option says that what Marxism makes unreasonable demands. Marxism makes unreasonable demands. Lyric poetry. right? Demands on whom? Lyric poetry. However, lyric poetry, you can say that own, uh, has its you can say that own merits that are largely ignored by who? Marxism, due to its personal nature. Now, in that case, option C is trying to say that what Marxism expects too much from lyric poetry, but poetry has its own strengths that Marxism overlooks because it is, you can say that more about personal feelings, isn't it? Now, nowhere in the passage it is trying to tell us that Marxism expects too much from lyric poetry, right? So, in that case, it is also try to say that what Marxism overlooks because it is more about personal feelings. So all such kind of a things distorting the idea. It is not trying to tell us about the means the core idea of the passage. The core idea of the passage is called as that what lyric poetry is and what it doesn't fit with the Marxism and how it doesn't fit with the Marxism. Still, Marxism desires something to contribute to the society, or called as criticized to the unfairness or controlling society. So that is what the main text, which we can observe or identify in the option D, right? So D, which is stated the focus of lyric poetry, the focus of lyric poetry as personal may not seem compatible with Marxism, right? However, it is possible to envisage lyric poetry to, you can say that lyric poetry as a symbol of resistance against an oppressive culture. So, in that case, we can find out the option D option will be appropriate because it tries to uh, carry the main idea from the passage by stating that how lyric poetry focuses on personal feelings, it might not meet Marxism expectations for social change, but some Marxist thinkers see poetry as what offering new ways to perceive and challenge unfair realities. So choice D reflects both ideas clearly. So that called as a lyrical poetry seem incompatible because it's personal, but it can still act as resistance against oppressive culture. So D is the most accurate choice based on the passes, right? So, but if I look at the option A, C, D, sorry, A, B, C, so I find out that what means the passage doesn't say that Marxism is contradictory, right? Marxism is contradictory or inconsistent, inconsistent, right, with itself. It explains that there are different perspectives within Marxism, but it doesn't say they conflict or oppose each other. Even you can also find out the passage focuses more on how lyric poetry might still serve a purpose rather than suggesting Marxism's contradiction. So ABC carries with all such kind of a error, but A is having with all these error. This option actually does what? Overstates. This option overstates the situation by calling it a contradiction, right? The passage is about possibilities, not conflict, right? So that's why option A is wrong. Option B also we discussed the passage never says that the difference must be result, right? It doesn't suggest also that poetry will be useless or unrealistic unless Marxism and poetry align, right? The passage instead explores how poetry might still be implicitly or means indirectly criticize or offer alternative visions about or without needing full resolution. So this choice assumes nothing but called as a um, yeah, that can be called as a either or scenario, whereas the passage presents a more detailed relationship. At the same time, when we talk about option C, uh, The option C stated that the focus of lyric poetry as so and so. So the passage never say actually Marxism demands something from the lyrical poetry which is unreasonable or unfair. It also doesn't suggest that some Marxist thinkers appreciate how poetry can offer alternative of perception, meaning there is recognition, not neglect. So in that case, this choice wrongly presents what Marxism as a dismissive, while the passage highlights a possible connection between Marxist thought and lyric poetry. So, hence, we can say that option A, B, C are eliminated. D is the most appropriate choice, which taking from the first part, reflecting that lyric poetry is a personal nature, may seem at odds with Marxism's social goals. The second part perfectly matches the passage idea that poetry can still offer new perception and challenges a repressive reality or dominant culture, and it capture actually both the apparent incompatibility and the underlying possibility for poetry to be powerful in a subtle way. So hence we can say this is correct because it mirrors the passage balanced view, right? So hence the answer should be option D, right? Option D. Hope you understood this. Let's go to the second passage or second parasummary question.